So with The Bride coming out this weekend, I figured it'd be a great time to go revisit the classic and see why we're still talking about a movie that came out 90 years ago. And to answer the question, does it still hold up? Let's talk about it. Hi, folks. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're discussing something very near and dear to my heart, the Universal Monsters. Specifically, The Bride of Frankenstein. So, as a kid, I grew up on these movies. This was my gateway to horror. This is why I became a fanatic. And trust me, The Bride of Frankenstein is very guilty of this. With The Bride of Frankenstein, it's always one of those things to where 9 times out of 10, if you ask a classic horror movie person about sequels that are better than the original, this is usually number one. For good reason, which is a very rare thing in horror movies because usually this is how it goes. Number one's the masterpiece. Number two's the one that's like, okay, that's still all right. Number three, we get introduced to some weird kid with some weird powers or some shit that we never asked for. And then go to 7 and we're asking, why the fuck are we in space? So go to The Bride and it just ups every level of everything. Like, it is shot better, the pacing's better, the character development's better. Everything around this movie is so much better than one. But before we get into that, let's go through a quick plot synopsis. This immediately pops up right where we left off in 1. Like, we're at the windmill. The villagers think the monster's dead. Of course he's not. Because, rule number 1, if you can't find the villain's body, he's coming back. So he does, and he goes wandering around the countryside and looking for things to do. Meanwhile, Dr. Frankenstein is trying to get away from this life of the playing God thing and trying to put it all behind him and live a normal life with his wife. Well, he gets a knock at the door as Dr. Pretorius, looking menacingly evil, played by the great Ernest Thesiger, comes in and is like, hey, that experiment you did where, now everybody hates you and wishes you were dead? Let's run that back. Let's do it again. Now we're off to the races. Here's why this film works for me so much is because of what they did with the monster. The monster is so well rounded here than what he was in the first one, because in the first one, it's not that it's bad. It's just like he's a sympathetic kind of force of nature to where here he is still that, but he's a lot more human. You can find out he can experience happiness, he experiences loneliness, and then he just wants to have a friend. Which, that's extremely human qualities. This film does something that's very rare, where it makes the villain more sympathetic than it did in the previous film, which is really hard to do. The cabin scene with the blind man is one of the most touching scenes you'll ever see in a classic horror film. It actually answers the question, like, can the monster actually coexist? And the answer is surprisingly yes. Sits down, smokes cigars, breaks bread, learns how to speak, and becomes really just a normal person, which always has been my point. If you just treat the monster nicely, he will be nice to you. Another thing I love about this film is that the weirdness is cranked up to 11, where Pretorius and Frankenstein are having a conversation, and he lifts up this little veil. There's like these little people in jars. This should not work in a movie that people herald as a classic. Like, this is the only movie where this works because of how they do it. It mixes in like that dark comedy with like that kind of mixture of what the hell am I watching, and it absolutely works. Speaking of the director though, James Whale outdoes himself here. For instance, when the monster is going through the graveyard running from the villagers and he's knocking over these statues, it is straight up gothic gold. One of the most beautiful shots you'll see in a classic film, and outdoes anything that he did in the first film. And then now we get to The Bride, the star of the show, which is why we're all sitting here today, 90 years later. She is so iconic instantly. How the reveal is done, it's wonderful. Like, you get a striking look at Elsa Lancaster with the makeup on and the crazy hair with the lightning bolt. We all know it. Still to this day, kids dressed up as her as for Halloween. She's in pop culture constantly. Like, everybody knows who this is. Like, in a weird way, like Frankenstein and Bride are kind of like Santa Claus and Mrs. Santa Claus for horror movies. Everyone knows who they are, no matter what age they are. But what's so weird about this is that she's only on the screen for about, I'd say, all of maybe 90 seconds to 2 minutes max. but how they do it, how it's shot is so brilliant. Her movements are very manic. Of course, she's absolutely gorgeous, and I think that's what enthralls us all about her, is that she's so beautiful, but you don't know what she's going to do. So that creates this crazy excitement. And then, of course, we get to the final payoff of this. The monster gets what he wants. He gets a mate. And, of course, it goes horribly wrong. Poor guy. Can't catch a break, man. It's kind of what it's like dating women in 2026. Hey, you want to go out to eat? The fuck was that? You want to go see a movie? You want me to take you home? That's you. Godspeed. And then finally tops off with a great ending that literally leaves you with no loose ends. Which, I mean, what more could you ask for from a horror movie? So I guess we get to the last part. Does it still hold up? And for me, the answer is absolutely, because the themes it deals with loneliness, rejection, and just wanting somebody to understand you. And those are timeless themes. This movie is made for misfits by misfits. Plus, it's just wildly entertaining, gothic, funny, dark at times, and feels completely unique in 2026, just as it did in 1935. So that brings me to my rating. I got to give this a 5 out of 5, because I was trying to think of, like, negatives I have about this movie, and I really don't. This is a absolute masterpiece. Not only that, it's another one that you can watch with kids. There's nothing too violent here. So if you're looking to introduce your kids in an easy way to horror, I would actually recommend all of these Universal monster movies, because that's how I was introduced as a kid. And if you want to start somewhere, just start with the Frankenstein series. It's fantastic. But that's just my opinion, guys. Like, I want to know your thoughts on the film. What do you think of the new Bride coming out? Do you think Bride of Frankenstein is better than Frankenstein? Let me know in the comments down below. I hope you enjoyed it. And please don't forget to like, share, subscribe, ring the bell for notifications. You can follow us on patreon.com/F140podcast, where there, for $3 a month, you can get all of our content from all 3 channels. The wrestling channel, the video games and movies channel that's shooting out real soon, and this channel, and get a little extra perks in between. So with that being said, I got still a saying from my old buddy Mr. Bennett: freaks, geeks, nerds, unite. Let's take over the world.